All right, welcome back. We just took a little break. It's weird saying welcome back since you guys probably didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, most
But
likely. Hey, who knows? Maybe they took a break too, you know?
took
I
a
know
little
I smoked a
bathroom break.
cigarette, you know?
I watched Love is Blind for 10 minutes.
Oh, did you?
I did, yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yes. All right, on to our top three Black History Month edition. Top three
Hmm.
Black superheroes. And again, we said no Storm, no Black Panther, and no Miles Morales.
Right.
All right, you want to give us your first pick?
Oh, okay. I will go first. So I have three picks. I'm just deciding which one I want to go with first. Um, hmm. Let me think. Well, actually, it doesn't matter. The first one I will talk about. We'll start with the easy one. Not easy, but one that is should be familiar to people who are familiar with the MCU at the very least. If you've seen the MCU, you should know my next choice or first choice, I should say, for my top three black superheroes, and that would be Riri Williams, Ironheart. Um, which
Good choice.
yeah, so I love Riri Williams, Ironheart. She was in, for those that don't know, she's in Wakanda Forever. That's the name of it, right? The second one, Wakanda Forever. Black
Yep.
Panther 2, Wakanda Forever, right? She's in Wakanda Forever, and yeah, so she's basically a high school about to be college girl who makes a Tony Stark Iron Man suit on her own from trash and broken computers and parts in her garage, and is just a genius. And she's essentially kind of the whole key to the plot of Black Panther 2, is that she is the main catalyst for the plot in that movie, and it was supposed to be to introduce Riri Williams because we're supposed to have an Ironheart show, which has not come out yet. It's been delayed forever. But just like last week, I will say that my first exposure to Ironheart, Riri Williams, and why I like her so much is I first met her on Marvel's Spider-Man, my favorite cartoon from 2017 to 2020. It's an awesome show, and Riri Williams comes into that show, teams up with Peter Parker and Miles Morales and Kamala Khan, and it's just awesome. And I love Riri Williams, Ironheart. Thoughts on that?
That's an excellent choice. I love Riri. I love Black girls in STEM. That's an excellent choice for Black History Month. I can't wait to see more of her in the MCU for sure.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that show that they keep delaying forever. They've announced it years ago. They announced it before she was even in this movie, but soon enough.
A fun fact is I was working in a comic book store for a long time here in Rochester. And I worked there when Riri Williams was introduced, as well as when Morales was first
Mm.
introduced in the comic books. So I got to see a lot of, white nerds in there, like Iron Man's white, Spider-Man's white. I hate this. And I just as a 17-year-old kid or like however old I was when those things happened, I'd just be like, you're a grown man complaining
Right.
about fictional characters. It's ridiculous. It's
That's
like
what,
Tony Stark still exists. He's still
right.
in the comics.
And that is another reason why I like Ironheart so much, is because it makes those kind of people annoyed. And also, I don't really like Tony Stark. He's a douchebag. Like
He sucks.
I
Yeah,
want that character, but without him being the douchebag. And then that's what we
exactly.
got. We got the same tech, the same abilities, but better and cooler. I think more interesting, more DIY. Not just the richest guy on Earth building his own, spacesuit. It's way cooler, and it's more closely related to like a Peter Parker type story where it's like, not a rich person, it's a young, smart person. Sorry. Okay.
Yes.
Your turn.
Love it. So for my first pick, it's gonna be a very obvious Kai Von Doom answer, but I have to go with Spawn.
Spawn. Okay.
Yes.
So,
So Spawn is very close, near and dear to my heart. Created by Todd McFarlane, who creates like awesome action figures and
mhm.
just a legend in the comic book world. But Spawn, the first Spawn comic book came out in 1992, the year I was born.
Oh wow.
And yeah,
The year
so
you
Spawn,
respond.
the year I was spawned, I should have said that. So Spawn is a character very similar to Ghost Rider, where he has these demonic powers that he kind of, made a deal with the devil, and his soul is under contract, which, as like a young horror fan was I just love when you blend horror and superheroes.
Mm.
And Spawn has always been such a fascinating character. He was introduced to the public at when he was played by Michael J. White in
That's
the
right.
1997 movie. And Michael J. White is one of my favorite action movie actors. He's a beast. I think even in the remake, he could still play Spawn again all these years later.
um.
But yeah, he just had the coolest powers, the coolest costume. He appeared in Mortal Kombat and Soul Calibur, two of my favorite
Oh
fighting
wow.
games.
I see. I didn't realize
Yeah.
Spawn was in Mortal Kombat too. There's a crossover there.
Yeah,
Um.
he was in Mortal Kombat 9, I believe.
I
Yep.
see. I meant also not Mortal Kombat 2, but Mortal Kombat
No,
TOO.
no, I know.
Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, Mortal Kombat
Yeah.
9.
He was in Mortal Kombat 9 and Soul Calibur 3, I think.
Has there's only been the one Spawn movie, right? They've not redone another one. Has there been an animated Spawn?
There was an animated series came out a few years after the TV show. I think it was on HBO. So it was like 1999, I think the show came out. So I used to watch it when I was a kid, way too
Mm,
young. But it was more, kid oriented than the
right,
movie
and it didn't
was.
last long, I think.
Yeah, it was like maybe 2 years. But
Yeah,
yeah, they're supposed to be coming out with a remake with Jamie Foxx playing Spawn. I don't know how I feel about
interesting.
that necessarily, but I will still be watching it.
It'd be interesting. Yeah, I'm sure I would see it too. I have to. I know I seen Spawn like a long ass time ago, but it kind of scared me when I was a kid, and it wasn't really my thing. I'm not much of a horror person, so we're opposites in that regard. So yeah, that's cool. Great
Yeah.
choice, Spawn. I like it.
All right. Who's your second
Oh,
pick?
it's my turn. So I will let you choose. You got to help me here. So, do I want my I already know who the next two are, but would you rather hear about another Marvel character or a not Marvel character?
My next one is a DC character. So let's
Okay,
do another non-Marvel.
same as mine. So, my choice
Mm,
is a DC
okay.
character,
Okay.
and
I wonder if we picked the same one.
we're about to find out. So, my choice is Thunder from Black Lightning.
Oh, we did not pick the same one. That's
Also known
that's an
as
interesting choice.
Anissa Pierce. So,
Yeah.
are you familiar with the Black Lightning CW show? Have you watched it?
Yes, I love it, to be honest. I was so sad when
Thank
it got
you.
canceled.
Thank you. Okay. So, I never watched any of the CW shows really, but I fell in love with Black Lightning because it is so. And there's a lot of things I hate about it, but I love it. And I have to admit, I didn't see all of the fourth season yet, but I'll get into that. But so my pick is Thunder, which is Anissa Pierce. It's Black Lightning's oldest daughter. And
Hmm.
she is a vigilante superhero by night who is basically like the closest thing you've seen to Antifa as a superhero ever in
Yes.
anything. In one of the first episodes of the show, she is like her, not her as Thunder, but her as Anissa is at a she gets I think arrested at a protest for a racist statue at a school, like a a Confederate statue, and so she is is super radical, and and she in the world of this show, her dad Black Lightning, he bugs the hell out of me. He's great, but he's also very much a bootlicker. Like he kind of gives her a hard time about about the protesting of taking down a statue, and he's very kind of against her taking any sort of direct action or actually doing any change. And he kind of her father exists as, and he's supposed to be right in the show, and she's supposed to be a little bit too wild. But I'm like, no, she's right, and Papa is too conservative. But I love that show, Black Lightning. I could talk about it forever. Everyone in the show is so hot too. There's that. Everyone is
Yes.
just like so good looking. Hold on, I gotta remember his name. Cress Williams. That's it. Cress Williams plays uh Black Lightning. And oh, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I
Oh,
just
oh, oh,
gotta
oh, oh,
plug in
okay.
my laptop.
I
Sorry.
see. Yeah, so Cress Williams is very good looking guy. um, the whole cast of that show is super good looking. I can't remember the actor's name, but there's Painkiller is like the one of the main enemies,
Oh,
the
yeah. I
antagonist.
love
Oh,
him.
oh yeah,
Love
he's
him.
so cool. And the so I did so I'm talking about Thunder specifically as my favorite, but I was kind of using that as a platform just to talk about the whole show, which is filled with black superheroes. The whole family are black superheroes. His other daughter, Jennifer, it becomes Lightning, but she's very resistant to it. She doesn't want the powers. It's like a whole thing. And I oh, I love that show. It's so great. But oh, the coolest thing about this show, the thing that I love the absolute most about it, is one of the big bads in the show is played by Jill Scott, which is just
Yes.
so cool. Living
Yes.
my life like it's golden. We got Jill Scott. It is she's perfect too. She's so good as a like boss lady. Like, yeah, she crushes it. Um, the reason I stopped watching it in the fourth season is because they replaced the actress who played Lightning, Jennifer Pierce, the younger daughter, and it really kind of threw me off, and I kind of fell out of it. I'd been watching it during the pandemic, but this conversation has got me like, oh, I need to go finish season 4 of Black Lightning. I liked Black Lightning so much that I even watched the episodes of all the other shows in the Arrowverse just so I knew what was going on to be able to watch they had a big crossover event from all the CW shows, right? Did you watch those shows, the CW shows?
I
Yeah,
did. Yeah.
yeah, I never could really get into them, but I did like Black Lightning, and then they did the big massive crossover. So I watched each of the other ones, the couple episodes to know what was going on. And um oh, one other thing I forgot to mention. I don't know how I could forget this. Thunder, my choice, is also a queer woman at that.
Yes.
She has a girlfriend in the show, and she's like in bed with the girlfriend all the time on CW broadcast television. Incredible,
Yes.
incredible. Even though the show, like I said, it has some bootlicker tendencies and is kind of like pearl
Mhm.
clutchy in its kind of politics in some way. And one of the main characters is a cop, is like his best friend, and he's like, both the cops are good. There's this cops are good kind of thing going on here. But for a number of other reasons, I love Black Lightning and
Yes.
specifically Thunder.
Thunder was almost on my list. I definitely love her. She's such a badass, just like you said, vigilante queer woman. It's awesome to see that on TV.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
my
your next
second
choice.
choice, yeah, my second choice is also from the DC universe. So I chose Vixen from DC Comics.
Oh, I see. Interesting. Tell
Yeah.
me about that.
So Vixen first appeared in Action Comics, which, fun fact about me, I'm a huge Superman fan.
Are
Like,
you
a lot of
really?
people hate on him, but
Yeah, well,
I am
we
a
could have a whole episode where we could
well, we
debate
gotta
that.
discuss this. We could do a whole episode on this, me defending Superman. I'm a huge fan. But so she first appeared in Action Comics, and she is actually like one of the strongest characters in the DC universe, very underrated. So she has a healing factor, she can shapeshift, she's incredibly strong and fast. And she just always, to me, the way she's depicted in the cartoons as well as in the comic books, always looked like Halle Berry to me. So
Hmm.
I would I was so disappointed when Halle Berry played Catwoman because I was like, she needs to be Vixen.
Yeah. I think was is Vixen in the Harley Quinn show too at one point?
Yeah, she is for a little bit. Yep.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah. Um,
Yeah,
because I love
she
that
just
show
reminds yeah. She just reminds me of like all my aunties in the 90s with like, the short, flippy
for
haircut, the
sure.
animal print, the
Oh
cat suits.
yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Has she been in live action before or no? That you know
Not
of?
that I know of. Not that I could think of, no.
Has she had her own, does she have her own run of like of books like Vixen, is that their whole series of Vixen books and stuff?
Yep, there are Vixen comic books. Yep.
Hell yeah. That's cool. That's a great pick. I don't know tons about Vixen. I'm not a big DC guy, to be honest. I know little bits about it, but my knowledge isn't quite as deep. And like we've talked about before, I don't know if I've said this on here. I never was a comic book reader. I didn't have access to comic books. Like I never been much of a reader, but I'm a big cartoon fan and I watch a lot of stuff, but I just have never read the books as much. Where you working in a comic book shop, read all the comic books, you have that knowledge to bring, which is great. So I appreciate that. And that's a great choice, Vixen. Yep. Oh, so I guess
Yeah,
it's my turn again, huh?
it is. Yep. For your final pick.
All right. My final pick for my top three black superheroes is Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur.
Oh, yes.
Oh my
Yes.
God. Have you seen this show?
Oh, the show is so cute. I love it. I watch it with my nieces. It's so
It's
adorable.
incredible. It is so good. So for those that don't know, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur is an animated show that's on Disney XD. Moon Girl is a fairly new character created not that long ago. Before this show, though, um,
Yep.
and Moon Girl is a 13-year-old uh, black girl living in the Lower East Side of New York, and she's the smartest girl in the world. She's like makes all these super smart gadgets and all this stuff, and she becomes Moon Girl. But the story is just so incredible. Like her family owned a roller skating disco, like a disco, and her mother is a disco, like a vinyl DJ and community activist. And also voiced by Shashir Zamata, right? Am I saying that right? You know, from she used to be on Saturday Night Live. The voice
Yep.
cast is incredible. The soundtrack to the show is incredible. It's all jams. They have all this original music, and it has that sort of same almost animation style as um, Into the Spider Verse, right? And
Mhm.
I think it has this very fast paced animation style, and it's the best show. Like I love it. I season 2 just came out. It just started recently. I haven't watched all that. I've only seen like the first episode. I didn't realize it came out, but I've seen season 1. And uh, two. I want to bring up 2 episodes that really cemented it for me from season 1, which is I think it's episode 11. I'll
Mhm.
remember this because it's the most important one to me. It really is this. If I were to show somebody one episode, I would send them episode 11 of season 1, which is the episode where the villains of the episode come in to clean up the Lower East Side, and they are essentially gentrification personified into a villain. And you see the things that
Yep.
they're doing to the town is stripping it of its culture and all this stuff. And I'm like, this is the children's show, and it doesn't seem like it's preachy. It's just it lands, and it's I love that show. It's so good. It's so you don't like it's even though it's a kid show, it's aimed for young children. It's hitting on stuff that's beyond the levels that anything we've seen from other Marvel properties in terms of like the actual like people like to complain Marvel's gone woke and all this stuff. All the stuff that of the MCU compared to this is not even close to being progressive at all. Like and yeah, and then the second episode I would bring up of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, and I think you could probably maybe elaborate on this more for me than me, is episode 5, and in this episode, Lunel, that's her name, I believe, Lunel Lafayette, that's Moon Girl's name.
Mhm.
She hates her natural hair, her black natural hair, so much so that she tries to get rid of it, and it becomes a villain. Her hair comes to life, and you
Uh,
literally see the fight between this young black girl and her natural hair, and her learning to accept it through the like it being personified into a cartoon. Like it's incredible. Like this, uh, uh, I'm obviously was never a young black girl, right? But if I were, I feel like have you seen something like that before on television for children, where it's like superhero addressing these kind of issues like that?
No, like there's obviously a lot of like love yourself imagery like aimed at children, but you never see straight up just like love your kinks and your curls and your natural hair. Like I am someone who just cut my hair off because dealing with it is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Loving your natural hair when you have type 4, which is the kinkiest or tightest curl pattern type of hair. So even among Black people, there's people with looser curl
Right.
patterns, and then you have like the type 4, which is on the exact opposite end. It's like even the natural hair movement aimed at adults is like, okay, let's get those curls more defined, aka more loose looking, looking more to similar to the texture of like, say, someone who is biracial or, just
Right.
not as nappy. So it's like that learning to love your hair is just like a lifelong thing. And it's so important to instill it in children early.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I was blown away by that. I was like, that is so cool. Um, and they have a lot of episodes like that. But then also at the same time, they have a pretty good story. It's very episodic, like it's a kid's show where each one is standalone. But like season one ended on a cliffhanger, and it started back up in
Yeah.
season two with an in-depth, like multi-episode arc in this Y7 show. Yeah, you could tell it's a kid show. You have to understand it's a kid show, and when you watch it, it's not. But it's just great. I love it. The music great. The animation's great. The voice actors are great. The plot elements are great. Her best friend has two dads. It's great. Um, there's trans voice actors. There's trans flags in the show. There's a rainbow in almost every shot. All the villains are white people. It's not all of them, but most of them are white,
Most of them.
which is great. It's fantastic, you know. So yeah, that is my third choice, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. And if you haven't watched it, you should watch it. Um, yeah. What about you?
Yeah,
What
that's an
is your
awesome
third?
choice.
Okay, cool.
So for my third choice, before I get to that, I have to do an honorable mention.
Okay.
I can't not mention this character. I have to mention Cloak from the Marvel Universe.
Oh, yeah.
His name is Tyrone Johnson, and that is the blackest name I have seen in a comic book. So,
That's right.
yeah, because of
Cloak.
that, I have to give him an honorable mention. But my number one is Bishop from the X-Men.
Bishop from the
Yes.
X-Men. Oh, wow. Tell me more about your choice.
Okay, so Bishop, I grew up like watching all the Marvel like 90s cartoons. The
Right.
X-Men cartoon was one that I constantly watched, always wanted to be Storm. And watching the show, you think Storm is just going to be like the one token black character. It's how it always is on these like team shows. And
Right.
so when Bishop shows up, it's like such a cool moment for me. It's like this, like you don't see a lot of black people in sci-fi, which is another reason why
Right.
I really like Spawn. You don't see like black leads in horror. So Bishop has this like really cool, just like extra sci-fi story where he's coming from the future and he has all these futuristic weapons. Still has a Jerry curl for some reason, even though he's in the future.
Yeah, I
But
see that.
yeah, just seeing him just seeing him was just so cool for me as a kid. And I just like really wanted to be him when I grew up. And he was just like, such a badass character. Reminded me of like the old black exploitation movies, but still was very
Mm,
fresh and current.
hell yeah. Yeah, I like Bishop too. I like the X-Men. That's a great choice. And they got that new show coming out soon, X-Men 97. It's basically like a
Yeah.
continuation or remake or something of the 90s cartoon. So hopefully he'll have a prominent role in that. I'm sure he will. Um, yeah, that's a great choice. So let's recap. My three choices I picked were Ironheart, Thunder, and Moon Girl.
Yep. And my three were Spawn, Vixen, and Bishop.
Nice. That's a
All
great
one word
list.
names.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, that's yeah. So that's a good top three. If you're listening, definitely let us know what your top three are. I had some comments, some people gave some suggestions of people that they liked and stuff too. And we did get a comment from a listener, Sammy, who said that Superior Spider-Man does count as a not Peter Parker character because it is not Peter Parker's consciousness, only his body. And I'm going to agree with that because it backs up my point from last week. So just to follow up on that, I put that question out there and somebody did answer and they said they agreed with me. So hell yeah. um, so I suggested the black superhero top three for this week. So I think, do you have a suggestion for what we should do for next week? Have you thought about it?
Okay. So since you said you don't read as much DC, I would be curious to hear your top three DC Comics characters.
Top three DC Comics characters. That is very good. I could come up with a list for that for sure. Can no repeats? Should we do that?
Yeah, no repeats. So
Yeah, no
no
repeats.
Vixen, no Thunder.
Yeah, no Vixen, no Thunder. Okay, cool. And uh surprisingly, neither of us mentioned Blade, which would be and also
Yeah,
another obvious choice. But I almost in my mind was thinking that was on our list of ones that we weren't choosing was Storm, Miles Morales, Black Panther. But then yeah, Blade is the other one, which Blade is also a great character. There's a lot of great,
yeah.
black characters. But yeah, so DC characters next week. Um, yeah, all right. So mine definitely won't be Superman. I'll tell you that much. But we'll have probably an exciting debate about that next week. Um, but yeah, anything else, Kai, or do you think that probably is it for something of a podcast this week?
I think that's a good place to end this week's episode. Go
Yeah,
see Madam Web.
yeah. Go see Madam Web. Go watch Devil Dinosaur, Moon Girl. Go watch Spawn. And you should also you could follow us on social media. We have a Instagram page for the podcast. It's at something of a pod. We have an email address, somethingofapod@gmail.com. We are now on YouTube and we will continue to put stuff on YouTube. That's youtube.com/something of a podcast or type in something of a podcast. You'll find it. We're on um not SoundCloud. Oops, not SoundCloud, but we're on Spotify and wherever else you find your podcast. Just look up something of a podcast. If you're having trouble, feel free to reach out to me or Kai or the podcast, and we could help direct you to it. And but if you're listening to this, you already have that link. So what am I talking about? But if you're listening out there, we'll say if you have any suggestions for what your top three favorite top three black superheroes are, feel free to leave them in the comments on my page, on Kai's page. Send me a message the podcast, whatever. I will message you back. We'll message you back. I'll probably mention it when we do the episode. And I'm just looking forward to continuing to do this and seeing where it goes. And, you know, we have something of a plan here for something of a podcast. And I guess that's something of an ending. So I guess we'll see you next week, Kai, right?
All right, sounds good.
All right.
See you.
Peace out.